Hello, just a quick go through. I've just had a package arrive this morning directly from the heat treaters. This is an update on my jungle parang for the army guys. John, who's head of the training there, sent me his existing parang which he bought locally in Brunei, and the guys use them fairly like, but they're having problems with the handles. They're nice and choppy, but our big guys the handles are just breaking off. So what he wanted was a full tang parang of similar design obviously to the local stuff. It works, it's been developed over hundreds of years. So these are about £40, I think they said they pay for those locally. Come in the standard wood sheath. It just dangles it off a rope belt. So last year we made up some prototypes. If you've been following any threads where I've been doing them, you've all seen the designs come up, and this is what we came up with. Full tang, bit skeletonized, same blade shape, same bend, so that we can replicate the same cutting ability. Done in probably a slightly better steel, 75 CR1. Hang on. Sorry about that, just had a delivery over, so I've skipped across. So done in 75 CR1. Parangs are normally slightly heavier, I think, than machetes, so it's in 4.75 3/16 thickness. We've made the neck a little thicker. It's got a skeletonized end on the handle for the back two. So the front half is solid, and it's got G10, in this case Coyote Brown scales, and I've had to fatten them up with some 2mm Kydex just to make them a bit chunkier. So these John took these to Brunei on their training course last year. They were quite impressed with them. Even the local guys who've been living in the jungle with parangs all their life were quite impressed with the cutting ability of the steel and the heat treatment. Heat treatment on the 3 prototypes was done by a friend of mine, Chris Grant, who does extremely good heat treat, and they're only heat treated, edge quenched, so the hardness is only in the blade cutting area. So the rest of this, because it's a heavy impact tool, especially on the hardwoods they have in the jungle, is left softened back and tough, so that it can be beaten, and hopefully it will bend slightly instead of shattering or breaking. The grind is washed off here again, so that we don't have any sharp points. If you sharpen it back to here, you have to harden it, and the plunge line will cause a weak spot. So, and also this is a good point for gripping for close work. You don't need to bring the blade to the handle, and when you're here, you're on the centre of balance, so you've got a lot more control over fine cutting if you're using it. So they came back. We had a few things we wanted to look at. They wanted to see if we could lighten it down a little bit, because it is quite a lot heavier. Again, G10 and a solid tang handle regardless is going to be heavier than the stick tangs of the original ones, especially the wood they use is almost as light as balsa wood. So I tweaked the design, tried to get a bit more weight forward, reduce the neck thickness, and that's what's arrived today, which is the first batch of 20. This is the original Kydex sheath in Coyote Brown. Nice basic sheath, held up well. Stainless steel Chicago bolts, heavy duty. So what we've got here today delivered is kit form in the parangs. Delivery note: hardness required 55 Rockwell, so mid 50s, so slightly harder I suspect than a lot of native ones. And here we have our blades. If you can see, you couldn't see on the other one, but this part here wasn't skeletonized on the original ones. I think there's plenty of strength and meat, so we can take that out. Again, that reduces weight. I've removed the 3rd pin here. I don't think it's necessary. Also, when you're gripping back here, it's under your hand, so even though it's the bolt is recessed, the hole is still going to give you a possible hot spot. So we've removed that from there. I've slightly fattened the belly out to give it a bit more grip. Again, the neck here has been thinned down slightly from the original, from this one. Something they required. Say it's plenty strong enough as it was, so there's no harm thinning it down a little bit. Gives you a better grip when you're choking up. It takes some weight out just behind the balance point, so hopefully tips the chopping forward. Rest of the back's the same. we've added a very slight more weight on the front, again trying to get it forward, so the front has come out slightly and this angle has been increased very slightly. Again, it's only grams here and grams there, but it all helps make a difference. And again, another thanks to Chris Grant. He uses something called a bird beak on his SFK, which is this part here. So as you can see, and this, when sharpened, gives you something you can use for detail carving. Now the army guys are not sure about this, but it's easy enough to take off if you're worried about it snapping or breaking. Chris has got them on his SFKs and they haven't had any problems, so it's easy enough to leave it on and I can grind it off as an option. Had a slight problem with the heat treat in that the industrial guys can't do an edge quench and bring a heat treat line straight across here, which is what Chris does, because they obviously don't do them one at a time and that would make it expensive. So we've compromised on this one. Not sure if you can see it on here. Just here you can see a heat treat line. So this has been salt bath dipped and heat treated to here. So all above here is soft, all below here is hard. So we've potentially got a possible weak spot here. What I'll do now is, with a blowtorch, I will relieve the temper on the back of the spine and just leave the front ½ inch or so hardened. So I'll do that in a water bath at the right depth and then relieve all this back. So again, we've got a nice big soft spine and neck to take up all the impact. So hopefully it will bend rather than break, but still leave a nice hard sharp edge that can be easily maintained. So I've got 20 of these now. So I did open the box earlier, but I haven't unpacked everything. So as you can see, nice pile ready to go. And in here also, for making the kydex, I've got some filler strips which fit in here. The purpose for this is when we mould the kydex, because this bit's fatter, we need clearance when it comes here, otherwise this whole bit of kydex has got to stretch the full width, and it makes it very difficult to insert and take out, plus the fact it's going to stress the kydex and the rivets every time you put it in and out too much. So I mould the sheaths with these in. The other ones had them done on them with a simple strip, so that should help with the kydex moulding. So that's jig number one. For the handles, I've had a handle cut in 3mm 420 stainless. It's been cut to the exact profile. It's got all the holes in it, but only at 4mm. It all lines up. This enables me to pre-drill, pre-cut and profile the scales before mounting them on the knife, and then all I have to do then is shape them. So I can get all the holes pre-drilled, counterbored, countersunk for the 1/4 inch bolts, and they should all fit together nicely. On the handles, this, I'm going to make another one up for, to cover this one. This one is going to be in Multicam G10, so there's 10mm thickness here. It's black, tan and olive green type colours, so good military ones. And because again 10mm is not quite thick enough for the size of blade, I'll be using 3mm black G10 glued up to give the effect of a liner, I guess. I used kydex on the other ones, which is fine, but G10 glued on will be even better. And for the sheath, a big shout out and thanks to Doberman Knives, Andy. He just brought in, some of the first time I'd seen it, some new kydex from Knife Kits, and it's already pre-printed with Multicam, which is pretty close to the new British issue MTP, same colours, but the MTP's got slightly different shapes on the and patternation with the colours. So Andy brought it in. I've managed to snitch enough of him to do one sheath. This is 80 thou kydex, and I normally use 93 thou, slightly thicker stuff. So we'll have to see how this goes. And again, this is for the military guys, so it matches up with the uniform. So thanks again, Andy. That's a big favour you've done me, allowing me to basically pinch quite a lot of your imported kydex. I know how much expensive it is to bring in, so I'll get you back for that one and send out your other sample sheets of the other colours I've got, and next time I order from knife kits I'll get you some more in as well. So there we go, so parang in a box. So I've got 20 blades. These were rushed in today because I want to get 2 of these ground up, and I'm taking them to the shooting show on Saturday to go and see Riflecraft, who are SERE coat sprayers. They use them on the rifles. It's a spray coating that they use on guns, similar to Duracoat and gun coat. However, SERE coat is probably one of the tougher ones, and especially for the military guys, because it's a bolt-on handle, I don't want any moisture getting under the handle and rusting it out, so the whole thing is going to be SERE coated. I'll round off all the sharp corners so that it adheres nicely and doesn't chip off, and I'll probably just leave 3/4 of the edge plain steel. Guys are used to oiling up the blades, and it's going to come off and probably bind on the bevels, but at least the rest of the knife and the handle and the tangs will be protected and smartened up. So that's what that's going. I've had these ones rushed in today. The rest of the heat treatment for Dell in the dark place is coming in tomorrow. Sorry guys, but 24-hour parcel force is expensive. It's coming in 48-hour tomorrow, and I'll get those knives out to you as soon as possible, Dell. So there we go, quick update on the parangs. Once I've got these off and sorted out how many the military guys want for their course, I shall then offer them up for general sale. The military guys will be getting obviously a military discount, and the guys who buy the other ones will be helping subsidise the Armed Forces Jungle Team for their parangs. So they'll be available from plain blade, sharpened obviously up, which you can put your own handle and sheath on, to obviously a fully finished knife with scales and kydex to your specification, and again with or without the Chris Grant bird beak detail tip. Thank you for watching. I'll get back to you when I've got these sprayed up and ready for shipping.